Good afternoon and good morning, everybody. Welcome on into the Dragon's Den. My name's Digital Dragon, and I'm your host for today. Welcome on in, Timor and Shaudel, Shrimp Father. Welcome on in. I think I see Zombie lurking around in the background as well. So welcome on in, everybody. So we are going to be trying to continue the calibration phase of the Enraged Rabbit Carrot Feeder. So we were having problems on the last stream, which was last week because we didn't stream this past Thursday. And we may not be streaming this Thursday, or if we do, it may be a little bit later. Hey, Nick, welcome on in. Danny Bar, welcome on in. But as noted, and you'll see if you follow me on Twitter, I did post a picture where the encoder came on just randomly. It's been off for a while. It just came on. It stayed on for several days. I looked up here right as I was getting set up for the stream, and the light's gone off on the encoder again. So what I did, because I've been using it in, I'll say, standalone base mode, meaning just the printer, filament straight into the tool head, because we haven't got this completely calibrated, I did just go and rename the config files. So we're back at the Happy Hare firmware, but I shut everything off, unplugged it, and let everything, let all the capacitors dissipate and everything. So I'm curious to see if turning it back on, if the encoder comes back on this time and we can continue. If not, a couple of things. One, Triangle Labs reached out to me via AliExpress saying, hey, we understand that you may be having problems with your encoder. Go ahead, use this link and order another one, and we'll get it sent to you as soon as possible. I went on there, they charged me 10 cents, and I pinged them to say, hey, get this to me priority because I'm stuck in the water. So hopefully they'll get that to me. If not, I've got 6 others here. One that I had brought in from Fabrico that got here on Thursday, and 5 that came through PJ3D that arrived today. So we've got options. By the way, welcome on in, Rodney Mac and Nick. Welcome in. So what I'm going to do is just turn the printer on, let it boot up, and see if we get lights on our encoder over here. And if we don't get lights on the encoder once this is all up and happy again, then we'll try and swap out with a different encoder and see if that solves the problem. Well, I've actually, I had the Triangle Labs one, and I had the one that came with the Lead Labs, SELEAD Labs, ERCFA V2 kit that I bought, the upgrade kit. So I plan on building 2 of these, and I've also got the Savox. I've got 2 of the Savox servos. The only problem is I have to wind up reprinting a couple of parts. So my plan is to build the second one using the Savox and a known good, or coming from a vendor that has been approved on the GitHub for Benki, right? For the creator of Benki. And see if everything works. Now I'm trying to figure out like why this side came on, but this side didn't. So give me a second here. I think I know why. Thought I had it copied it over to both. So I do have the disco sticks installed, and no, I have not done any craziness. I guess, we do have the we do have the section in Happy Hare that required us to upload or install the lighting section, and I didn't see a need to do that. And it looks like I did have that copied over. Nothing changed. So why would one string come up and the other not from a power off reset? See, this is strange. These lights have been working since I installed them, and now all of a sudden, even though they're in the config right, they're not showing up. Or at least this one's not powered on. Did because it thought exactly. Paulson, welcome on in. Yeah, it's just doing it to mess with me, is what it is. Because nothing in the Happy Hare MMU, because we do have the lighting stuff set up for Happy Hare, even though we haven't installed and done the lights yet. But nothing in the Happy Hare is going to impact these pins because they're two different control boards, right? So I'm kind of dumbfounded as to why only one side's working. But they're pretty neat. So there's our light. We should have both sticks going, but this one's deciding to be a pickle for right now. Don't know why. But it does light up. It's pretty neat. And like I said, I know I can do all kinds of lighting effects to have them change colors and do crazy stuff. I'm not. I'll play with that after I get the base printer going. And by the way, it's printing beautifully because we've been printing out these frames here. I'm pretty much doing these frames on this printer just because it almost goes edge to edge on the 300 size. So doing it this way, it keeps it all on the heat pad and not on the edges where there's, you know, on the edges of your build plate, you do have a gap where the edge of your build plate isn't as hot. And those frames wind up allowing you, that's going to make to build these. So right now, because my bench is about 20.5 inches across the top here, I bought the 20-inch rails. You can make them 24-inch. You can make them as long as you want. But it's two frames. The rails are attached to the two frames, and it's two pieces of 1/2-inch PVC conduit with a couple of printed parts that attach it to the rail. And this allows you to, it's the soft close as well, but it allows you to put your filament in here, put a little drawer face on it, and you've got your filament drawers. And these are not my design. These are from Robert Cowan, and he posted them on Printables. And the whole lower base of this workbench is going to have filament. So I'll have all the open rolls here, and I'll put all the unopened rolls still in the boxes in the closet. Hey, Pez, how's it going? Grounding the motor cage will fix it. Ooh. Extruder reset errors with an SB2209. I have never had that issue. What motor are you using that you're attaching to the SB2209, Nick? Hey, Pete, welcome on in. Welcome on in. We've just been chatting a little bit. Getting a little frustrated because this printer's been up and running and printing, and both my light sticks were working and everything. All I did was, rename the printer config file so we can come back in and start troubleshooting Happy Hare. And my encoder stopped working sometime today. It just went off, so we'll be replacing that with a different one. And then this light stick decided to randomly not turn on. So I can't make this crap up. It's killing me. I don't know why. Everything's up and running. I mean, the light thing, we can, we can work without the lights. We don't have to have the lights on. Oh, I have backups to the files, Pete. Yes, I back things up to my GitHub. But it's just it's just one of those things that, this encoder issue is just annoying the crud out of me. But Triangle Labs did reach out to me and say, hey, we understand you may have an issue with your encoder because we had problems with the initial batch. We will send you a replacement. So that's on the way. And I happen to have 6 encoders that I bought across the last week. So I got one that came in from Fabrico with the other disco stick light because the kit only came with one. So I bought the other one. And then I bought a Benki as well. And I bought a set of 5 from PJ3D, who's out on the West Coast. And both of these, they're approved by Newhaws and made by XR Bunker, aka Shammy. So, hey Royal Nomi, how are you? So these should be high quality and good. So we're going to try and just unplug and plug this one in and see if we at least get the encoder light to show up. And then if it does, we'll shut it down, take it apart, and swap things out. Because I have tested the wire, and hey, look at there, I got a light. I don't know if you guys can see that, but we've got a light showing up there. So we're good. Because I validated that I've got 5-volt coming to this pin. So that's good. Now we just need to shut things down. We'll take the encoder section off the selector and we'll swap out those encoders and hopefully be good again real soon. So there's one on each side, one M3 screw on each side, and that will let me drop this encoder front piece off. And yes, I'm searching blindly trying to find the M3 screw over here. Go. Hey, Hybrid Robotics, welcome in. Yeah, BQ Hurricane. So I know the Huracans, when they first came out and everybody was getting them and opening them up on stream, there was some issues, but I think all of those have been solved. It was, it was firmware related issues. So a Klipper and not native, but non-borked Klipper. And I say that because we know that like Reality's version of Klipper is not Klipper. It's I'll say a bastardized version, but it's Klipper with just a skin over the fluid or main cell, whichever one they were using. I can't remember. So I wouldn't have a problem doing a BQ Huracan. Now, I don't know if I would leave it with its stock firmware or, like use the vendor image, or if I would build Klipper on it and then drop their printer config file on it, probably, but in the theme. But that's just me. Because that's where they're using a CB1 on that, which is so that's kind of where you go and you get all of your CB1 config or your install from. Oh, I hear you, Naomi. I hear you. Have you been staying on top of my sis and making sure that she's staying off of her foot and letting it heal? Hit Skyfire, welcome in, welcome in. Yeah, so the encoder that came from Triangle Labs, I posted on Twitter that it just started working out of the blue. And it worked like almost from Thursday on, right? And then I looked over this afternoon and it didn't have the light on. It was dead again. I was like, what is going on here? So I did a full shutdown reboot, still wasn't coming back on. So what I just did was swapped it out for a Binky encoder from Fabrico. Okay. And that encoder, yes, it does. Said encoder is so all right, so we have light on here. I don't know if you guys can tell, but the eyes are lighting up here. And that's what we want because that tells us that the encoder is working, right? It's they are an approved reseller that's listed on the Duhas, who's designer. So I picked up one from Fabrico because I could get it quicker, and it came with the other disco stick that I have installed here. Come on, there you go. And for whatever reason, I have a disco stick that's just not coming on right now. Still haven't figured out why that's not. But that's a later thing. And then I also ordered five more that just came in today from PJ3D, which is another approved reseller. And this one was done by XR Bunker, which if you guys have seen Chamois, that's who Chamois is XR Bunker is their shop. So I'll keep this one around. This has like a bluish circuit board, and all the ones that I just got in have the black circuit board. So I don't know. And we had tried plugging in the other one that came from C Labs, and it also didn't turn on. So not sure what's going on there, but we'll toss that over to the side and we'll play around with it later if we need to. And Triangle Labs did reach out to me via AliExpress and say, hey, we understand there was a problem with our first batch of of making encoders, use this link, order it, and let us know, and we'll fast track shipping. See what fast track shipping means, since they're supposed to have stateside warehouses now. Have you enabled 70s mode in the config? I have not, but like I said, the lighting is pretty nice, and it's not as bright as the straight white lights that we have back here on the LDO one. That one it's like stupid bright, and I've gone so far as to, if you change the power setting, like drop it down to 25% or half, the problem is now it's in PWM mode and the lights flicker. And it drives me nuts because I'll catch it out of the corner of my eye as I'm sitting at my desk. So encoder's working, yay. Let's do let's home our print head. And we'll also home our MMU. Coffee first. Didn't even check to see. It goes out. We're home. Hey, Sebastian. Yeah, I still need to pay attention to the sales and see what's there that I may need to get. Our thing didn't work, so you should buy it again. Well, the link they sent me, it was like 10 cents. So, hey, Coley, how's it going? Yeah, I'll have to try that Kit Skyfire. That it was one of the things I was just thinking of as well. So where were we? We were in the MMU calibration set. We had checked we had done the selector. We had calibrated the servo. We had calibrated the gear stepper. And it was calibrating the encoder where things went off the rails. Yeah, it was literally like 10 cents. Now, the other thing that happened, because, once again, there's deals going on AliExpress right now. So I looked at one of the deals, and I'm looking at who's in chat right now. And I was looking at one of those deals, and Mello had $80 off on an order over $499. And I keep looking at a VZ bot. So I was looking at the VZ bot and trying to see if that $80 dumps me under the 1500 max to be able to do the PayPal pay for 4. And it didn't quite with the taxes and stuff. But I had money sitting in my PayPal account. So I used that to offset it and was going to try and say, like, okay, let's split it and then try and do the pay for 4. Yeah. Apparently I missed something and I just paid outright for it. So it's a good thing my bonus came in. I did the 235 size, Aaron, just because the 330 I think is, I have several 300 size machines. This is a 350 size machine. I really, 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 and I can't express this enough, really like the size of the K3. And if you had the K3 in a like 300 size box, it's definitely a 2-man lift. Because of all the aluminum side panels, that sucker gets heavy. And I can tell you right now, my back is killing me. from this past weekend of lugging black box downstairs to put it on the kitchen counter and figure out the twists and the Y rails, and then bringing it back upstairs, having to move this sucker fully paneled down onto the floor and out of the way so I can put black box up here. Yeah, I tweaked my back and I've been taking painkillers for a couple of days now. So yeah, this is no joke. And adding this kind of cantilevered off the back side, there's no real easy way to grab it. So you have one low, one high, then you're trying to bend down, and it's well, Colleen, and I have my Ender 5 Pro that's downstairs, but it's not enclosed, which means you have extrusions and stuff you can grab hold of and drop the weight down and stuff like that. Once again, on this, until I put handles on it, but even still, you're not going to grab handles up here and lift up, so you have to, it's just unwieldy. Like, there's a part of me that goes, I need one of those hydraulic scissor lift carts just so I can move big printers off the bench. Heaven forbid the time when I go to take this and move it down. So the other thing that I just did was I cut this shorter, right? Because we had well over 1 meter of PTFE tubing here, and that was also causing us some problems because our length was too long. Yeah, I'm around 20 something here at my house, and I've got 3 Mark IIIs and my OG Ender 3 and the Flying Bear Reborn 2 over at Evil Diesel's house, aka Dragon Den Site B. So he's got 5 of my printers now. So if you're going to Rocky Mountain Rep Rap Fest, I'm just saying I'm going to have a couple of printers there with me that I don't necessarily want to bring home with me. So make me an offer and you might walk away with a printer. But I'm not going to tell you, I'm not going to commit right now to which ones I'm taking with me. One step closer to the bend. Sounds like a third world problem. Yeah. Hey, Aussie, how's it going? Oh yeah, I'm not even counting. I'm just talking FDM printers. I didn't even count the Mars 2 over here. I actually need to do some prints on that here soon, now that it's starting to warm up. Yeah, exactly, Aaron. I have I have a couple of my coworkers that are willing to buy a couple, so I could probably throw a couple of them up on this 3D printing group that I have at work and sell a couple of them. The Flying Bear's holding up. Like I said, it's over at Evil Diesel's house, so he can print some bigger stuff for his wife's cosplay. But I haven't heard any problems with it. So, oh, it's out of stock? Uh-oh. Oh, nice, Aussie. A 1/14th scale RC crane. Pretty cool. Okay, so before I was thinking we had about 1,500 millimeters, and this is how much I cut off, which is approximately, do the whole, .400. So we'll give it about 1150 when we go to test this out and give it a shot. Actually, I want to say we did the encoder check, but we should probably do that again. And what do we want to use? Let's use this just because it's a roll that's almost done. Not almost done. Huh, kind of dusty. That off there so I don't step on it with some ankle or something. Um, let's do a I'm going to go up here and just going to paste that, but I'm going to do a servo up. Make sure to move that out of the way. Here, are we not lined up here? Here, up position. Try and home that MMU real fast again. So it might just be the crappy cut that I have on the end here. Catching. There we go. Good news is the encoder was seeing it. So, okay. So now we're going to do the encoder calibration. It was complaining about what? MMU calibrate Bowden. So that's where we were at, was to calibrate Bowden, which is actually the next step, but I want to check out this encoder calibration again. Oh, encoder calibration was saved. So there we go. Got the encoder calibration done. Now we're going to calibrate the Bowden length. And we've got a pretty long Bowden setup here, so we'll be cognizant of that. Yeah. All right, hopefully we're good. So Bowden setup. Set at 1650. I'm going to set it for set it 650. We have a long Bowden setup, so I'm going to set it to 1250. We'll run this calibration link. What it's going to do is try and run the filament all the way down to the tool head. Right. Yeah, so I didn't make it. So we will change the length up and try it again a second time. We'll go a little bit further. We'll go up to 1550. Dang it. Like it keeps pushing itself just a little bit too far out. Close. We're like right here. So we'll give it another several centimeters to go, and so let's try it. Go back up to 1600 then. Sorry, let me see here. Hey, Warzone Warrior. How you doing? I'm using Cure and have an Ender 3 V2. You use 0.3 nozzles and 0.4 nozzles with PLA filament. What I'd like to know is what layer height can I go up to with a 0.4 nozzle? Well, really, you don't want to go past a 0.3 layer height with a 0.4. Yeah, just because at that point I mean, for the most part, you're going 0.4 wide, and if you go 0.4 high, you're going to start getting into having to print really slow because you can't heat up and extrude as much filament fast enough. Because remember, you're extruding at millimeter cubed, right? Still short. So you're looking at the cubic cross section of the filament that you're trying to extrude. So I really wouldn't go above like a 3 or a 3.2 at max. Um, so we're close here, and I'm not sure if we need to like get it overshot. Like I could just say, okay, 2 meters, but I don't really want to do that. Because I'm not sure if it's going to complain about how far I'm trying to run it. Failed to detect reliable home position. So is it not? I mean, we were definitely into the tool head that time. There's no way we didn't get into the tool head. Okay. Did sort of feel a all right, so what is going on now? So failed to detect reliable home position on this attempt. So just for giggles, I say just for giggles, let me try and pull the Bowden tube out. And somewhat shortish length of filament that's been rolled up for a while, so that'll make it work well. I need to see if my tool head sensors are should be through the first tool head sensor. Okay, so I'm triggered both tool head or both sensors, the extruder and the tool. Here's the first. Second. Okay, so the tool head sensors are actually triggering, so that's good. Now the question is why are we not triggering up? All right, so one of the issues is I've got a it hung a bit when it was entering the tool head, so I just helped it along a little bit. because it's got a spot ground in the bottom or in the filament now. So let's see if we can't get a better flipped end. We can get past that spot. Okay. Yeah, we're trying. We'll do it. We'll do 18. Yeah, unfortunately, that's the problem I'm having is there's dead spots in this filament now from where we've run it through a couple of times, and it's catching those and causing a problem. So let's you like that. We're just gonna try and get to some better filament that hasn't been chewed up yet. There's the Enraged. So good. Failed to detect reliable home position. To say it's fully there, so I have a feeling it's failing somewhere in the tool head. Yeah, that definitely made it to the tool head. And it failed when it hit the tool head to get into the sensor. or to trigger the sensor, okay. Break off. So we had talked a little bit about tip forming and how important tip forming is. This is case in point right here on why tip forming is so important. Still not getting there. Why? Yeah, it should be at the tool right now, and it's not. It's hitting the tool, and then it says it's not there, and so it's grinding. So this is a CW2 at the tool head and the NEMA 14 for the drive gear on the Enraged Rabbit Carrot Feeder. So like I said, something is off and I'm not sure why. Let's see. Heating extruder to minimum temp, finding extruder gear position, run current, hold current, filament home to extruder, cutter measured, blah, blah, blah. You don't have an encoder or have problems with collision detected at the extruder, you can run manually. To do this, select gate 0, push filament through manually all the way to the extruder gears. This run with the manual -1 up. Calibration assumes the selector has been calibrated first. This may cause the extruder to be heated. Ensure that the extruder motor is energized and can resist the impact of the collision with the filament. Well, our extruder has never once heated up, nor am I getting anything in the console log that says anything about heating. Well, I wonder, let me do this. I just want to see if I manually push this all the way through, if we get a trigger on the main gear, or if we're hanging up in the extruder. That should get that out of the way so I can push this all the way through. So I just went into the stealth burner, and I should have hit a gear right there. So let me come in here and see if I tripped that tool head sensor. And the extruder is triggered. So that's the top, not the bottom, right? And that's what we're trying to trip, is the extruder sensor, not the tool heads. Not enough movement detected at encoder. Second attempt. So we may have to, well, one, let me see if I can, we'll heat this up and see if we can't get this to work. And if we can't get it to work this way, then we will do it manually. Once again, we know that we're triggering. Wonder what those ghost things were for? So we have the tool head heated up. Now let's try it with the tool head heated up and see if we get a better response. I'm going to change this to 1750 because I think we are too long. 1780. Yeah, we stuck there, and it still didn't detect a reliable home position on that attempt. And we still have a dead spot now on this roll of, or on this spool of filament. And that's why we're failing now, because we're grinding a spot in this filament, and it's catching. So and I am using this filament. This is an old spool of filament that I could kind of care less about whether I burn through it or not. So that's another reason why I'm using this particular spool. Hopefully that's not part of my problem. Hey, Hobby Main, how's it going? Hope you are doing well, friend. We are playing with the Enraged Rabbit Carrot Feeder and trying to see if we can't get our the feed system calibrated up to the extruder. And if this doesn't work this time, I will open a fresh roll of filament to give it a shot and see if we have better luck with a fresh roll of like Polymaker. Because yeah, 1750 should definitely be enough to get there. And we got there, but it didn't detect it. So we are going to try, and we're just going to do it manually. Try that manual. We'll just add the manual equals 1 at the end of it. And not home the gate sensor after moving. If you don't have an encoder or have problems with collision detection at the extruder, you can run manually. To do this, select gate 0, push filament through manually all the way to the extruder gears. Okay, and then it tests how much it pulls back. Okay. Put into the head. just hit there. So check, make sure we triggered the end stop. Triggered. Okay, so we're triggered there. Hey, Hobby Man, how's it going? So now let's do this and see if we get what we're looking for. What the actual hell? Did not home the gate sensor after moving. You didn't even move. So the MMU gate is not being found. Why the hell are the gate sensors not being found? All right, this could be something completely and totally different. Hey, Free Heathen, thank you for the raid. Welcome on in, everybody. My name is Digital Dragon, and I am a 3D printing. Oops, and I am a 3D printing variety streamer here on Twitch. What does that mean? Well, it means that I do everything from assembling and modifying 3D printers to full up 3D printer builds, like most of the ones you see behind me. I am also a prototyper. We built the 0G Mercury 1 under a closed beta to help that prototype. I helped with the closed beta of the Trad Rack. And right now I'm working on trying to get the Enraged Rabbit Carrot Feeder version 2. I believe this is release candidate 1 working, and we're having issues with the Happy Hare software not playing well with us right now. So welcome on in, everybody. Thank you for joining the stream. Thank you, thank you. Okay, so our gate end stops are not being found. So that's one of the issues here. So first off, let's just try and do a firmware restart. This is once again where I'm seeing some weirdness is our MMU's up and running. That's obvious, but it's not identifying the gate sensors, which are all the end stops at the back of the Enraged Rabbit Carrot Feeder. And that may have been the whole thing that we've been fighting all along. Okay, so see, now we have our pre-gate showing up. So that's probably been part of our issue. Go ahead and turn our heater back on here as well. And I'm going to go ahead and load gate 0. And if we come down here, we should see gate 0 is now showed at, oh, we would if I was showing that. This is part of what's been missing is all of our gates. And gate 0 is now listed as detected. We come under machine and stopwise. I don't know why we're still not seeing the gates here because I have seen them here before in the past. But our gate is being detected, so it knows that there's filament in gate 0. Let's go ahead and try our query one more time. MMU is not home. Really? Okay. We will home our MMU. MMU is now home. Pool T0 is enabled. Get that right up to the encoder or to the spot. Give this a try again. Going to home the head, or actually home the printer, and then move to the front again. Ah, having fun, folks, having fun. The joys of troubleshooting. So we started off the encoder, which miraculously started working last Thursday, had stopped working today right before stream. And then we lowering our temperature down to 150 so it can actually do the homing sequence. So that's good. So we replaced this with a known good from a approved vendor, not an AliExpress vendor, but an approved vendor off the designer's website for the Binky encoder. And yeah, and the encoder's been working fine ever since then. We're just failing in the calibration run. Now, I do know that there's updates to the Happy Hare software. I just haven't installed any of them yet. So we may do that if this fails this time around. Hey, Mayhem, welcome on in. Welcome on in. And Free Heathen, how did your stream go? I hope you had a good stream today. Okay, so that's gone. Pulled in some filament. It's starting to pull filament. Just went into the tool head. And it's obviously hitting that trigger. And it's not picking it up, is it? Failed to detect a reliable position on this attempt. So this is the issue, is it's not, for whatever reason, it's not picking up this tool head sensor, which is annoying as hell. And when we attempted to do it manually, it barked at us as well. It's grinding a flat spot in there. Oh, don't have our browser either. Let's switch up to the browser so you can see what I'm doing. Attempt to. Yeah, we're doing well, except it's just being cantankerous. Let's try and go the other way. Our gates detected. We're going to manually shove our filament all the way down until we have it detected at the tool head. And then we're basically going to let it back itself off and see if it will go that route, or if it's going to give us a balking. In the tool head, at the gears. So we're detected at the extruder sensor now. and were detected at pregate 0. So we should be able to run this command with the manmol equals 1. Did not home to gate sensor after moving 1,750. It didn't even attempt to. So I don't know. This is getting annoying. Oh yeah, definitely. This is not a replacement for an AMS. Not at all. So what we're going to do is do the dreaded thing of let's update some firmware. I am not going to update Klipper. Just not going to do it, but I will update Happy Hare. Hopefully, if that doesn't break anything. Now, if this breaks something and I have to go through and redo the MMU board, then I'll update Klipper and everything at the same time, but I don't think I'll have to. Yeah, MMU 2, MMU 3 from Prusa, the Trad Rack, the Enraged Rabbit Carrot Feeder. Not gonna say that they are they're not mainstream. You gotta be willing to put some effort in. So the MMU and stuff, like everything seems to be functioning. What's happening is the calibration test is failing. And I'm trying to figure out why. Like we calibrated the encoder, but it's this next where it's calibrating the length of the Bowden between the encoder and the tool head, right? Really? Nope, down here. Alrighty. Rally will show their multi-material unit for the K1 Max on the 9th of April. I haven't been told if it will also be available as an upgrade, though. I hope that is properly tested and not thrown onto the market as it is because they want to bring out for the 10th. Exactly. Exactly. Hopefully they do it right. Awesome. There we go. Happy Hare requires me to rerun the /install. The joy. So we need to be in Happy Hare. So let's bring it over full display as we do this again. Come into here, say yes, over so you can see me. And this is a CB1, so this is BQ to get into it. We need to CD into Happy Hare. And then we're going to run the install script, which is ./install.sh -i, which is interactive, which basically means we're starting from scratch. Hey, this is a Enraged Rabbit Carrot Feeder V2. So we're going to do 2. How many gates do you have? We have 8. We're using a Big Tree Tech MMB. I'm not using TMC stall guard. Would you like to have NeoPixels LEDs set up? Yes, we don't have them installed yet, but yes. Which servo are you using? We're using the MG90. That's number 1. Clog detection. Do we want clog detection? Yes. Yes. Endless spool. This basically allows it, when one spool runs out, it'll just switch over to the next one. So yes. You like to include all the MMU configs into your printer config? Yes. You like to include many? No, because we have the Klipper Screen plugin. You like to include subset of legacy commands? No. You like to include the default pause resume? Yes. You like to include the ERCT filament cutter macros? This requires a servo installation. No. You like to install the Blobifier purge system, which also requires a servo? No. Will need to be done. Review all pin configurations, verify motor current. Yay. So we're basically going back to scratch. Or we'll see if it overrode everything. There you go. It didn't. It should have kept our MMU bars config file. Okay, and Klipper was not restarted because we need to check some things out and validate the config. So let's log in here and just see. We're going to do a refresh. Just make sure everything's refreshed. And the nice thing is it created a backup of our config. So we could go in and kind of validate some things. We want to know why there's two hardwares. Okay, so let's take a look at Flipper 2, 8 lanes, gear max, gear excel, that was all good. Servo up angles, 31, 40, 61. We'll have to check those because we did calibrate those before. Sorry, I'm just kind of running through this config real fast. Oh, so this is set to collision. I wonder if we set this to extruder, if this changes. Because it says extruder if you have a filament entry in stop configured. Otherwise, it's testing for no movement in the encoder. Hey, Westery, how's it going? So I'm going to change that to extruder. These are some things that will be set up or tuned in. So I'm going to save and close this. And what I need to do is come up and look at our other parameters here. Hardware. Seriously? What the? Why aren't you? I don't know why it's being a pill. How's your ankle healing? Are you staying off of it? And before you answer, know that Royal Nomi is in the stream, and she will call you out. I have good faith that she will. Okay, we're rebooting. Hopefully everything comes up. Moonraker's trying. Klipper's attempting to start. Yeah, but yes, you've been putting it up. You iced it for 2 days and have been putting heat on it. Swelling has gone down. Okay, well, that's good. That's good. Well, don't break things. Just gonna look here real fast and see what it says. View pins, verify motor current, adjust motor direction. Yeah, and that I'll say is the one piece that I can't remember off the top of my head, and apparently it's not going to let me play that game of whether or not my motor is in the right direction or not. So we're going to have to test that because I can't remember off the top of my head. But then again, we're probably going to have to go through a bunch of setup. So let's just start Happy Hare again. Just installed. We verified the vendor and version in our config. We're going to check our encoder. Oh yeah, we got to fix that first. So the issue here is that the MMU base and hardware config. Pretty sure it was hardware. Maybe not. View config. I don't know why there's two there. There we go. It sets up for serial connection for whatever reason. We're not serial connection. We're a gotta have to do the whole darn thing. We're a CAN bus connection, so we'll copy the whole CAN bus piece. MMU, base, MMU config, and we'll comment that line. Add the CAN bus config, save and restart. So yeah, this is the fun part of MMUs, is just trying to get everything configured. It's like the pain of CAN bus on steroids. Want to restart, right? Okay. First, you don't succeed, hard reboot. This is pretty cool. We've been going at this for almost 2 hours and we've made 0 forward progress. We may have taken a few steps back. So we're back up and running. Home the printer. When we're done, we'll home the MMU. I'll let us check out some things. Okay. The motor current is off, so we'll up that a bit. MMU, base, under the MMU config. No, that was all the pen definition. Correct. MMU hardware. There we go. Current for the MMU gear, which is the NEMA 14. And then the MMU selector is this one. We had ramped that up. Go. It's footer says nothing. Make the little light splash. In that same command again, we should have length, which we do, so yay. The encoder is working. Mapping. Just come over here and run through the calibration. Real fast, I'm going to check the our up-down positions. We'll come over here. And you can see me get up sketchily on a stool while I try and figure this out. Lined up with gate 1 because we shoved something filament in there. Just for grins and giggles. Calibrate the selector. Okay, so that part got done. Calibrate your servo. Going to look for move. Yeah. Down. Oh, speed light. Hey, look, they all match up. So that part was good. Whoa. That was a little sketchy. Oh. Go back to up. Okay. The good thing is it looks like some stuff may have been saved and just ported over. So those 3 positions are all good. Calibrate your gear stepper. So this is where we do the test. We take the tube out, shove our filament through to the encoder, to the front of our ECAS fitting on the encoder. Right there. And we tell it how far we want it to move, which is 100 millimeters. They go. And we take our ruler and our Mark 1 eyeballs, and we check and see how far we went. We went 102. So then we put in a command here, and we just tell it how far it went. And it recalculates your rotation distance. You want to test, snip it at the end or right at the ECAS fitting and rerun the test. So why not? We'll cut it right there. And rerun our test. Hopefully this time we're right at 100. And we're still at 102. So that was awesome. Well, it's consistently over extruding, so that's good. Now we're at 99, so we're getting closer to accurate. But I don't know how much of that is could be fighting the quote unquote the heavy spool or what its deal is, but we'll just keep trying this out little by little and run through these. Making minor changes. What's everybody been working on these over the weekend and this week? No, the week just started, but all right, we're there. Your calibration is saved. Now, hey, guess what? We're right back to MMU calibrate of the encoder. I am going to say try and get a little bit of a tip on this. Look, Alan, finished an open RC tractor build for your dad. Nice. You're continuing to build up your Micron Plus. Sweet. Um, and I don't think we need to do trying to think if I'm going to back this out. Should be out of the gate. Okay. Should be safe for go. Trying to set up a stream for MakerDeck. Cool, Mr. Wizix. Another Merc 0G basic build. Nice, Timor. I love my Mercury 0Gs. Love them, love them, love them. 2 plus all the equipment that goes behind them. Nice. You're gonna get a scanner with your things winnings, like 3D scanner. Which one are you gonna get, Westry? So Stephen Poole, the newest version of Klipper apparently has or allows for camp without having to install camp. So the newest version of Klipper, you can set up adaptive mesh, but I don't know about line purging, but it's built in now to the been merged into the to mainstream Klipper. Okay, there you go. Yeah, you were going to, but it's there. Cool. The crapility K1 stepper clicking noise. Uh-oh. Yeah, Ozzy, as far as 3D printer RC stuff, so we built the drag racer. We've got a couple of death racers. We have a Ivan Miranda RC tank over here in the corner that I just needed a UBEC, XBEC, whatever, the battery eliminator circuit, so you can get 5 volts from the battery to the receiver. And that should be working. And then we're working on a couple of droid builds. We had the DO droid pretty close to done here, except you'll see that its head keeps falling over. And that's because the 3 servos, one at the box, one at the neck, and one at the head up here, are just, they're too underpowered. So I got new servos for everything in the top head box here. I just have to basically reprint just about everything from this white box up needs to be reprinted so that it has the mounts for the new servos. So I need to reprint those and then basically get this, the top half of this rebuilt. Bottom half's working just fine, except the motors are in reverse. And we'll also be building a mini chopper, so a 40% mini chopper droid, as well as a couple of small ant-weight battle bots for Mrs. Dragon. So we just did our encoder calibrate. Now we're back on to our Bowden length. So we're going to try this again. Now remember, we made a change that told it to use the, rather than doing the ramming into the extruder gears, we're going to tell it to use the extruder sensor, which is the sensor at the top of the tool head before the extruder gears. Then we also have a tool head, which is between the extruder gears and the actual hot end. So let's give this a shot. We're going to change this to Let's just do 16. No, let's do 1750. So it may harp on me to do something with the MMU. Okay, so we're going to home X and Y. You did the heart. Yeah, exactly. So I think Modbot this weekend, that was his video for Saturday on the Modbot channel, was talking about basically the inbuilt camp. Right, so now we're going to go. Go, 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 go. Go, Gadget, go. Into the tool head. And we're dead again. In-stop extruder not found. Huh? Free What the? MMU select home. Uh, config. Free Servo, encoder, gate sensor, in-stop. Here, selector, all that good stuff. Not there. MMU hardware. I need to add my end stops in here. Yes, this is definitely not plug and play. And yes, I broke it again. Let me step over here so I can actually I'm gonna grab this and move it over here so I can read it a little bit easier. Does not appear to be there. Is it? Heat sensor. Sorry, folks, bear with me just momentarily. I'm trying to look through because I know that I've set those, but I don't know if it's in the MMU stuff or if it's in the main. I thought it was in the main printer. Chip, form chip, hardware, LEDs, macro. Points. Oh, it wasn't in parameters. At least I don't think it was. I don't think. Pretty sure those end stops are identified in the main printer config, so I don't know why they're not showing up. Maybe not. Be on the SB2209. But yeah, this thing is definitely not plug and play. What I'm doing right now is I'm just kind of digging through and looking for um, all the references SB2209, which should tell me direction, enable, because the the two end stops that are on the tool head are in the tool head board, or on the SB2209 board. So that's the tap, part cooling fan, hot end fan, temperature sensor, right back at the top. So it's not called out there. Here's heater pin, thermistor pin, VM cycle, pressure fan, blah, BMC stuff, heater bed, probe, tubing, fans, so it's not called out in the printer config. I don't think I changed any of that. The only thing that I had changed was over here, hardware. Do a search for SB2209 here. Okay, there we go. Extruder switch pin and tool head switch pin are identified here. Copy those underneath the gate switch pin. So on our main MMU base hardware, there we go. There's where it's missing. Problem solved. Now we're going to have a now we got to pull our filament all the way back so we can try and get this going again. Happy, happy, joy, joy, huh? So we need to up. There we go. Go ahead and pull our filament back through. Okay. There we go. Back to where we started from. Except we're probably going to have to home everything. Home that. Yeah, plug and pray. You plug it in and pray it works. Yep. Speaking of which, while we're waiting, let's come down here and we see our extruder sensor is there. Our tool head sensor is all the way down at the bottom, so that's good. We've got our sensors back again. Home our MMU. Trigger already. Jeez. Fine. You know what? Duh. Now let's try it. Had the filament in the path. Okay. Now we're going to go back up here and try and do the MMU calibrate. Goes to the front corner. Extruder, go, go, go. Keep going, keep going. And I think we spun out. So all else fails. Get some new filament to start with. Fresh filament that hasn't been chewed on yet. Seriously, come on. Fresh filament that hasn't been chewed on. And I'm probably going to need to grab a fresh roll because this stuff has been sitting out for a while. And it's just got way too much curl and twist to it. And oh, good. We're going to try this one more time. Filament home to extruder. Yeah. We got past one to go. 2 successful passes. We're about 13. Damn. So when it kicks it out just a tad bit too far. And once again, that's probably an issue with how curvy my filament is more than anything else. Yeah, so we're making progress. Just having to make sure and feed it at the back so it catches. Because like I said, it when it throws it out, it kind of throws it out a little bit more because there's no buffer. It's not in the buffer system, so there's no amount of spring pushing back into it. I think we're going to be successful. It only took us like 2.5 hours to get here. Yes. And not only that, but the last two were right at 1330.3. So we made it. We made it one more step. So that was step 4, right? Yes. No. Step 5. Optional. Step 6. Calibrating the gates. Is it required or useful for designs that cannot have variations like the trad rack, but it's useful for designs like ERCFA that can have variation of feed between gates. Even with ERCFA, this is optional because if not run, the gates will tune themselves as they are used automatically. That's interesting. That said, it may be beneficial to get this out of the way with a test piece of filament by doing it. But doing it also, 1, removes the need to set the auto-calibrate gates in MMU parameters config. 2, is necessary if there is substantial variation between gates. For example, if BMG gears for different gates are sourced from different vendors. Okay, could be. Okay, so this is basically doing the encoder calibration for each gate. Okay. Should we do that? Should we push our luck and try that? I think we should. Oh, damn. Okay, so I will tell you, I just pulled filament out of 0, stuck it into 1, and it automatically grabbed it and loaded 1. So rock on. So filament detected and parked in gate 1. Woohoo! We got an ad break that just started. Feed that filament. You can do it. Yes, we've made progress. We have made progress. All right. Now I'm going to remove the filament. Maybe. Gate 1. Take this over here. We'll put it in gate 2. Hey, it just went and loaded gate 2. I'm liking this. And we'll tell it to do gate 2. This is probably a good idea to do just to make sure that all of them are properly set. Yeah, there you go, Mr. Wizix. Throw some height. Woohoo! Progress! All right, so calibration for gate 2 has been set. Now let's pop over to gate 3. Sweet. Now we will come up here and do this for gate 3. Hey, Lucas Player, welcome on in. Well, we are, what? We started at 5:30, so we're 2.5 hours in. And, oh, well, darn it. Well, we had our first failure there. Let's give it a shot and try it again. Okay, yeah, so this one is not grabbing at all. So gate 3, let me come up here and check. So 2.5 hours, and we wound up upgrading Happy Hare. And then we realized that we were basing our load detect link on a collision versus checking the extruder sensor. And once we switched over to extruder sensor, we got everything working. All right, so let's go to down. Oh, that's not even close. That's way off. So, but is that a keyboard comes up? Up, down. All right, so it lined up that time. So that's more of a, I think that was an issue with the extruder, or I'm sorry, with the servo not properly grabbing. Now, what is going on there? Okay, now the servo didn't actually move. Round that down, so let's break that tip off. So yeah, so we're trying to get the MMU calibrated, and it's been fun so far. We are in this lane, right? Lane. This is not. Yeah, so that position, it's not picking up well. So we need to look at lane 3, which is the fourth well, gate 3 or lane 3, which is technically the fourth gate, but I don't know if you can see there how chewed up that was getting. Leave that there and we'll look at it in a little bit. Go one more over. Uh-oh. Oh, yeah. Okay. Now we're going to MMU home. Now I'm going to try and put it into lane 4. Okay, so we're having an issue with moving it across. Okay, you see there how it was catching? So for whatever reason, I'm having an issue getting this to go. No gate 4. I want you to go to gate 4. But regardless, let's come over here to the last gate. Yeah, see, something's catching and dragging, and it's not getting over here. So why are we? We're doing so well. Yeah, it's hanging. Damn. Sorry. We were doing so well and now we're hanging. So I've got to try and figure that out as to what's causing that motor to hang. We're getting through the first couple of lanes with no problem. So I should be able to try and print directly through this on the first one, hopefully. Wish I could figure out like what it's doing. Let's just grab any of the longer lanes over here. I wonder if it's just trying to go way too fast. Hey, thank you for the follow, 3D Printer Shack. Either that or maybe my belts are just a little too loose. You know? So yeah, would it be an Enraged Rabbit if it didn't act crazy? Probably not. So here's the thing is I'm sort of stuck. I'm getting a little bit frustrated. We were able to get something at least working on gate 1. So let's see. Swap that out. This over here somewhere. Let's take like this. Get it up. Do 1, 2, 3. Do 4 loops in the buffer. I think that should give us a good amount to start with. We're going to go into our lane sensor here. And give me a minute. There you go. I think it just told me to go bite myself. Getting this put in so it parks it appropriately. Okay, so filament's in lane 0. Awesome. Probably have tried to do bypass because I don't have anything to use it. Hey, Chris, how's it going? You went in and lost every single one of your points. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. So how's it going, Chris? We've been able to calibrate lane 0 and lane 1 and lane 2. And then it went off the rails. It only took us 2.5 hours to get there. Updating Happy Hare, going through and resetting some parameters, and just otherwise being somewhat frustrated. So we're here, and the thing that I just thought of is here's great, but I don't have anything set to actually print with the MMU. Everything I have set to print is bypassing the MMU right now. So I've got to try and figure something out. God, I haven't even tried to do the slicer side yet. And we're having an issue with like gates 3 and over. And I'm not sure if it's just trying to pull too hard or too fast or what's going on here. But every time we try to load up another gate further down, it would crap out on itself. I think we're out of the way there. So case in point, we're going to take a piece of filament and we're going to put it over here in like the last lane. And as soon as it detects it, you see what just happened. It just hung and drug. So something is going on there and I don't know why. So I got to go figure that out because it is hanging and it's messing up on the on picking the lane assignment. And it's almost like it's trying to pull too fast and it stalls the motor. But homes just fine. So I need to look at the speeds, and I think it's just trying to speed way the hell too fast. Hardware. We've got our, here's this one, that's set to 5. Selector is set to 8. Servo. It would. You could put a ERCFA on one of your tool heads. Now, would you want to? That I don't know. Well, where are those speeds at? So the selector max velocity is 250. with an acceleration of 1200. Here we go. Selector move speed is 200. Homing is 60. What if I drop this down to 100? Let's see if we have that same issue. So, hey, 3D Printer Check, thank you for the subscribe. I appreciate that. I'm going to make sure in home. And then once again, I'm going to take I'm not going to take a short piece of film. I'll actually, in case it does decide to run it up, I'm going to take a different one and put it in one of these other lanes. And that worked. So I think that was the thing, is it's just trying to select and switch too fast. Whoop. And then that one's stuck. So it's not encoding it. So maybe I spoke too soon. Home. Instead of sitting here holding this, I'm going to just going to cut off a long portion of this. Or a decent sized portion of this filament. Okay. So why did you just? I bet you I know why it's failing. I bet you I know why it's failing, and it's this MG90 servo. Yep, and right there we just had an issue. So I think double check this real. Yeah, our servo is still in the down position, even though I told it up. And so that's why it can't move, because our servo is not, oh, darn it, up. Yeah, that servo is like stalled. It's not going anywhere. So now there's a motors on. There's a servo on. Actually, There we go. At least moved into the move location. There's up. There's down. Okay, so it's like catching and not moving up. Okay. Cool. Okay, and it caught right at the end. So it's not it's not in the right location. Still managed to press it down, but I think it pressed down both 6 and or 5 and 6. Okay. Yeah, so we've got some reliability issues. I got my 2 Savox servos off of Amazon, and I had to get them from 2 different places because neither one of them, like they each had only one. I didn't find them. You didn't do it. Turner with that bed at least. Say we blame KB3D Chris even when it's not his fault as he is a sponsor. Definitely. Got to do that. Nomi didn't do it. Yeah, it's not you, Nomi. Last night was your night to be blamed. Tonight we need someone new. That's true. So I think what this is telling me, as much as I don't want to do it, um, going to try and see if it'll go all the way down to the last lane. So it started dying right down here at the end. So that's still going to be an issue. It went 1 lane short. Um, and once again, the up is not working right. So it came back to good. So yeah, I think I'm going to have to bite the bullet and swap out the MG90S servo for the Savox servo. Amazon woes bring us many customers. So that's true. That is true. So, with that being said, I'm going to pull this filament out of lane 0. And we are going to bypass the ERCFA for the time being. I would love to put it in the bypass position, but actually that would be good if we can. I don't even know how to get it to the bypass. Select bypass. And see it's stuck right at the end. Why is it sticking? Why is it sticking, guys? That was, how many rooms have we got that at? Because quite honestly, I could care less how fast it is as long as it's consistent. I really don't care. Like, I don't need it to have like, a 3-second lane change from 0 to bypass, right? I just need it to be consistent. Because if it's consistent, I can work with it. And it just started to right at the end. Now, this has got, I'm not even sure if I've got enough to verify it. Oh, yeah, I can't use bypass anyhow because bypass gets covered by so the bypass lane here is covered by your controller board. There's no physical way to get to bypass. Yeah, there's no physical way to get to bypass, which is interesting. So I want you to home. Why would it matter if I told you to go to tool 1? Okay. So we're going to play with this more later. What we're going to do now we're going to come in here. We're going to rename this printer config file to Happy Hare. And we're going to take our config base and just rename it to printer config. We're going to do a firmware restart. And that's going to allow me to bypass my Enraged Rabbit Carrot Feeder and actually print something. And this printer, I will say, has been printing very well, with no issues, other than every time I try and go with the ERCT right now, which, like I said, we're working it. We're making some progress, but we're gonna have to keep working on it. We will get there. We'll get there. Guess we are all the way at the tool head. I was like, are we already at the tool head? Yeah, I'm just gonna get things heated up and start a print. But at this point, folks, I'm gonna call it done for the night, and we're gonna have to do some more looking and try and figure out what's our issue over here. I don't know if it's one of these that has too much spring to it that's now causing it to catch, or if it's just literally the servo. And if it's the servo, I'm going to have to reprint some parts, and they may not be the same color, because I don't think I have pop blue yet or anymore. And I'm going to need that to replace the servo, I believe. There's like 3 different parts I have to print to replace the servo on the selector. So I'm going to replace that with a Savix, which is supposedly, well, one, this is the recommended servo for ERCT 2. Oh yeah, tomorrow night it's all Westbury 1's fault. It could still be Westbury's fault tonight. We're just going to be nice and let her think that it's tomorrow. That'll be her fault. Alrighty. I'm going to go ahead and load up some filament, like I said, and yeah, we're pooping filament. The other thing, Chris, that's interesting is this was the first so this was the disco stick that came with the kit. This is the first one I plugged in. It's always been working. This is the one that I got from Fabrico when I got the Binky probe that we're using, right? This one's still working. That one, for whatever reason, stopped working. I don't get it. It's configured. I don't know why all of a sudden it stopped working. So now I got to see if there's like I don't know if a connector came loose or what. But it was working until I rebooted it this afternoon right before stream. No flipping sense. All right, so we got printer chow installed. Drop that back down to 200. Yeah, the printer itself is working like a charm. I can deal with lights not working. like I said, the nozzle lights aren't working. I did go through and resoldered the nozzle lights down at the bottom. The only thing I think is it's something at the center one. And I can live without the nozzle lights because I have the side lights, so it's no big deal. Yeah, I just got to see if it's maybe like there's too much of a 5-volt draw, which I wouldn't think there is because they've been working all day long. Hey, Shenanigans, welcome in. Turn it on and off and it'll stop working again, probably. Hush your mouth, though. Oh. Yeah, so I don't know. It's been a little frustrating. Like I said, I'm gonna get things started up and get another print going. I've been printing these pieces out on this printer because if I try and print these on the 300 size, it's right up against the edge, and I get, even trying to do brim, I've had it detach and create ugliness on me. So for reliability reasons, and since this is like a 200 and something gram part, I'm printing them out over here on this, and I'm doing the rest of the parts over on Bay Dragon. But these are for the filament drawers that I put on, that I posted up on Twitter. So these are not my design. These are the design of Robert Cowan on printables. But filament drawer system, so you've got two uprights and your rail slides fit into those grooves. Your slides fit into the grooves here, and then you'll screw them into your frames. So this becomes the majority of your rigidity. You have a front and a back piece with 1/2-inch conduit that's screwed into from the bottom, and that, along with these supports, provide that support for your drawer slide. And you'll notice you've got 3 spots here where you can screw these, actually 4 or 3, 1, 2, 3, where you can screw these into each other and link them in. And so I've got a 4-pack and it's rigid sturdy, right? And depending on what kind of slides you get, these have a soft close feature on them, which is nice. But I'm going to print the front doors, and I'm going to do all the front doors in one color. These right now I'm printing in their mix match. I've got orange, green, and whatever, because I don't care what the color scheme is behind it, because I plan on, I'm going to go too high and I'm going to screw down, I'm going to screw down another 1/2-inch piece of MDF shelving to the tops of it, and that's going to make it rigid, and that gives me a place where I can put some other tools that are easy to reach right underneath the deck here of the bench. So, but yeah, that was a great little design there by Robert Cowan. So, need to let this heat up and start getting a little warm. And you'll see I've got little silica gel packets down in the bottom there. When I open up a new thing of filament, I just throw them in there. Helps keep things a little dry while I'm printing. The bento box has been working really well in this. No smells from that. Yeah, I mean, the printer has been solid, been printing well. I'm still running the standard plate that came with it. I also have a DFH smooth plate, and I got a KB3D plate that I'm going to put on it as well. Because this textured plate is like sandpaper. It's literally like, it feels like 80 grit. But where you can send somebody for Flash Forge. Yeesh. Honestly, build over bot, I'm not sure. I don't know where, Bob. Flash Forge. Maybe ask in the Discord channel. I mean, maybe try and reach out to Joel Telling. Ooh, they're having elephant's foot. Well, that's elephant's foot is normally a Z offset issue, but I'm not familiar with the Flash Forge, so I don't know how. What does home pi printer one data config variables mean? So printer underscore one underscore data, that would probably tell me that you have more than one printer configured for your Klipper setup on that Pi. And because normally it's just printer underscore data. If you've got printer one underscore data, that means you've got more than one instance running on your Pi, and that would be your variables. But I, quite honestly, I mean, this would be the config, whoops. So this is the config session for mine, and I do not have, like, variables is not a default. So do not know what the variables would be for. I've never used it, never seen it. Um, yeah, like I said, I'm not sure with the Flash Forge if, you know, I don't know how open that ecosystem is, right? Because I've never used the Flash Forge stuff. So the mechanical repair is mechanical repair, but once again, if it's a closed ecosystem, it's, yeah, it's locked down. But I mean, I've seen people take Stratasys machines. Like there's a guy I was watching on YouTube that took a Stratasys machine, basically ripped out all the control board guts and rewired it with a, I think, a Duet board, and got the chamber heater and everything working again. So I mean, it's doable even on a closed ecosystem, but as soon as you do something like that, you're on your own. Okay, we're up here for a little bit. The nice thing with Trident is all of that heat. I mean, you're only concerned with, go back over here. With like a Trident, this is where I'm concerned about the heat, because this is really where I'm printing at. So that heat will get, as I'm printing, that heat will kind of saturate its way down as I print for longer prints and over time. But like on a Voron 2.4, your heat's starting from here, and now granted it's going to come up, but it's got to fill the whole chamber up before it really starts saturating all the way through. So, but I'm going to come over here and start printing another frame. because I need to start pretty much. Hey, Aaron, how's it going? Is it working now? Sort of. The printer works, and the printer is working because I'm not running the ERCT at this point. I've switched over to the base printer config and away from the Happy Hare for right now. So a couple of things. One, as we're getting over to the side here, we're having some issues with it either like dragging or something. There's something a little wonky at this end. So we got to solve that because it's not lining up as we hit like lane 6 and 7. I'm not sure if there's an alignment or bow or something. Regardless, the other thing that we're having is the servo, the MG90 servo. We're having consistency issues with it going up and down. So the fix for that is printing some replacement parts and putting in the Savix, because this has a little more oomph than the MG90. So we're going to have to switch over to the Savix, which I was trying to keep from doing. But we made progress on calibration, and the trick for us was telling it to calibrate the Bowden tube length using the tool head install versus the collision, which is the default setting. So once we updated Happy Hare, we forgot until we needed to that we didn't reset the sensors. So we had to go back and add the two tool head sensors back into the MMU configs. And then we were able to get the Bowden link calibrated. And then we were going through and starting to calibrate the encoder for all the lanes. And once we hit lane 4 is where we hit the issue. One was the default lane changing speed is like 200 millimeters a second, and we're overdriving the motor. So dropping that down to like 80, we were getting better lane changes until we got to the end here where we're starting to hit some dragging. And I don't know if it's I need to check if there's like a distance between the rails or the linear rods that's causing a little bit of binding or what. But yeah, there's something that's causing issues in the further lanes. And the easy thing is to say, don't do more than 4 filaments to start with, which should work to at least initially start getting prints. And I hate that. Hey, MakerMind, how's it going? Is that box from LDO Motors what I think it is? Oh, you had the FlashForge 5 Pro today? Okie dokie. That would be cool. Yeah, I ordered something today that I wasn't anticipating ordering. So I was really trying to see if I could do like a split and pay some things out of my PayPal balance, and then wind up doing a pay for 4 for the remainder. And the split worked, but oh well. So the split worked. So something else is on order. It'll be another major build. Well, I know you can't talk about it yet, but I have a feeling I know what it is because I was supposed to be getting the same thing. But I'll talk. I'll ping you on Discord. And you did get your Nighthawk working, right? I think you got your Nighthawk working. Okay, good. No, different chest. He meant chest, not chess. Hey, thanks for the follow. I'm going to assume that's Wave Junkie. Welcome on in. So you see the ERCT V2 up here? We're not using that right now. We're not even using bypass. We're bypassing it the old-fashioned way, which is renaming the printer config that addresses the Happy Hare software, the MMU, to printer.config-Happy Hare, and went back to a base printer config, which is just a Trident 350. And that way we can continue to print. I've been printing with this for a couple of weeks now. In fact, I've got 5 drawers fully built, those modular filament drawers by Robert Cowan on printables. I've got 5 of those printed, and all of those front and rear squared supports I print on this because it almost goes edge to edge on a 300 size printer. And since your heater doesn't necessarily go edge to edge, you tend to get warping on the bed or on the edges, and it lifts off even with a brim. So nice, Aaron. Now, Aaron, are you doing a? Okay, you're going to do a 2020 or a Mark II 2020. Good. That's what I was going to ask. Because yeah, I know he just came out with it, and he had several announcement videos. I just haven't looked through the whole thing yet to check it out. Yeah, yeah. I've got my Rook 2020. It prints well. It's a great printer. It shows, and especially when you print. What the hell were we printing, Chris? Because I had the Rook 2020 over at KB3D's booth at Earth, and the kids were sitting there like watching, waiting for the prints to finish. I think we were doing the chameleons, the little chameleons for oh, oh, the IC3D printing for, or Toys for Tots. There we go. The little chameleons. I think it was the chameleons that we were printing on that. And the little kids were like just sitting there waiting until it finished. And we were like, yeah, go ahead and pop it off. And it was nice because I've got Klipper Screen on it. So as soon as something printed, they were able to go over and just hit reprint and keep it going. Now, the one thing I do hate about Camp is the need to remove that just to not have issues. And I know I can change the distance out or not do as much of a brim, but to me, it's worth the extra little bit of material for a brim to make sure that these prints that take 6.5 hours stick. No, you're not in an SSH window. What am I making, US3? So right now we are making another frame like this for the modular filament racks because I'm going to set up drawers underneath the bench here for all of my open filament. And then everything that's still in a box, I'll be able to put in the closet and get all the excess spools off the floor and try and reduce my tripping hazard a little bit. Yeah, mouse ears work well. I tend to use mouse ears on smaller parts. Oh, I was like, what'd I do with it? So this was the other thing I was printing. I need to clean it up a bit because it started getting a little furry. But this is the FLUNAS FF1R. So this is the filament joiner that FLUNAS, who's Italian, came up with. It uses basically like you're basically setting up two extruders with a heating element. And this is the next one. So two extruders with a heating element in the middle. So extruder, there will be a heating element, which is a coil that the filament passes through, and it melts and joins your filament, and it's an automated system. So you feed the filament in, it knows where the filament's at using it knows where the filament's at using end stops and basically filament sensors. Yes, Ozzy, let me pull that up real fast. Oh, give me 1 second. Apparently, I pulled out the battery for my laptop, or yeah, the plug for my laptop, and my laptop was about to die. But up here, printables. So here you go. Yeah, so it's pretty cool. And depending on how deep your shelves are, I think he was doing 24 inches, where here I can only do 20 inches. So whatever length slides you get, that is what you cut your 1/2 inch PVC conduits. So, go to Lowe's or Home Depot, Menards, whatever, and get some 1/2 inch PVC conduit, schedule 40, and cut that to the same length as your rails. And that's what you use for your supports for your drawers. And here's one of the drawers, right? So it just slots into your end pieces, and you screw them in with some 5/8 inch screws. These just clip on, and then you screw them through the linear rail. Now you've got the spot to throw a screw in here and add the additional, but my clamping force is pretty good. I didn't feel the need to add additional screws there. But if you wind up having any sag or any issues, I would. But yeah, and then the front faces, they have different fronts to them. You can do the light version, which is this front face filled in, and that becomes your drawer pull. This is the standard version where you would be able to mount through these two holes and these two outer holes. You would mount a faceplate, and then the two center holes would be for the drawer pull. And he's got a printable faceplate and a drawer pull that has a slot for labels. So it's a pretty decent system. And he suggests using ABS and ASA just because it's a higher density material and less chance of warping. I don't know why PLA wouldn't work, but I know in his case, he was putting it in his garage workshop. So the key point right there is where you see /home/pi/printer_1_data. That tells me that you have more than one Klipper instance set up on your Raspberry Pi. Meaning you could have multiple printers connected to the same Raspberry Pi, and you're going to have different configurations for each printer. And that's the only thing that I can think of as to why you would have a variables folder or variables.config, because I've never seen a variables.config in the root there. Oh, I don't know. All I can say is he suggested not using PLA or PETG and using ASA for whatever reason. I'm just using ASA because I have plenty of it. Of course, I have plenty of PLA as well. But it's really an excuse to go through and use up some of my older stock. And I'll say I was initially having issues with this filament over on Dragon for whatever reason, and it's KVP. I brought it over here and was going to try it out over here, and if I had the same issues, I was probably going to chuck the entire roll. But it seems to be working over here, so I don't know what's the difference, other than this extruder likes it and the other one didn't. You could use Kaya. Like I said, I don't even like. Is there? If you click on the variables.config, what's in it? Like, is there anything in it? Yeah, it only likes to be printed on pretty printers with expensive hot ends because this has got the Fadus Next G hot end. And I've got to do something. I'm getting that PTFE rubbing up here, so it's kind of like hazing the top from the PTFE tube. It's annoying. It's the only thing I hate about Tridents is that PTFE tube always rubs against the top. Your daughter was not bothering you, Makermind. Your daughter was conversing with you and trying to get your attention. Our meetings, that sucks. Yeah, Thursday's going to be a long day, guys. I may have to push the start of the stream back to 6 on Thursday because I do have to go into the office. I got to go in and chat with one of the guys at the office because we're transitioning some of the applications I support to a different team. So I have to go in and have a few meetings Thursday. So, and it looked like I was going to be able to get out of there and sneak home at like 2. And then I got a 2 to 3 o'clock meeting. So I should probably go in and if I'm going to do the full brim, at least make it less thick, like just a couple of millimeters. I'm like, out of coffee. Tragedy. And that thunk you hear, that is not the extruder jamming. That is the umbilical popping up over the 2020 and hitting the back panel of the ACM. So I may have to take and put cable, this stuff around it to see if it'll stop at least thumping as hard. I doubt it, but well, yeah. So this is a kit, so everything was already pre-cut. I know some people have gone and had custom uprights made that are longer. It would just suck because I would have to I would have to do major deconstruction to redo it if I got longer, taller uprights. The other thing you can do is basically do like a V0 and make a top hat. Just make an extender and get rid of this panel and move it up. But then once again, you're creating additional volume that you're trying to heat when you're doing larger print or larger prints. Probably if it was like another, I don't know, 20, 40 millimeters, like it wouldn't be an issue. And I know there's some pieces that you can print that can do like a 90 there, but I don't know how much strain that puts on it. Because it's basically like a 90-degree bend that you would print and run your PTFE tube through it. I just don't know how much strain that puts on it in the filament path. But is what it is. Yeah, Mr. Wizix, I'm out of coffee. It's bad. It's bad. But yeah, guys, at this point, I'm just going to get a print started. I'm done for the stream tonight. I'm going to have to do some research over here to try and figure out what is causing that other drag issue. Like I said, I'm going to start checking distances to see if maybe this end has bowed out a little bit, which if it is, it's very minor. But running the IGUS bearings, it's a lot more tolerance sensitive. And then, so we'll work on that. And then I'm going to have to reprint some parts to swap the servo out to the Savix, which also means going in and changing some things in the config, because we'd have to change the parameters to tell it it's got the Savix versus the MG90S. And then we would have to do the the rotation calibration for the servo engagement. But I don't think we have to do anything else past that, because that's kind of a separate mechanism. It's a separate motor that really isn't used for any of the other, like its sole purpose is to go into the down position to engage the gears. So as long as it's going into the down position and lining up with the arrows and consistently hitting that and coming back, that's what we need. So as long as it's doing that, we wouldn't have any problems. So we wouldn't have to go through and redo any of the other calibrations that we do. So Okay, so there is no variables config. Then that should be. Oh yeah, that's right. Your board didn't come with a bootloader on it, so you had to load up Catapult to get it going. So 3D Printer Shack at that point, um, every once in a while, like, is this a running operational printer? Or are you in the process of configuring it from the ground up? Yeah, DaVinci was the clutch person on that stream because I was in that stream. I wasn't, I'll say, fully there the whole time because I was jumping in and out for some other things going on. But 3D Printer Shack, is this a new build or is this a currently operational machine? New build. Okay. Um, so you're not too far along. Here's my suggestion. Um, are you using an actual Raspberry Pi? And do you prefer mainsail or fluid? Okay. My suggestion is reflash it with mainsail OS and start from there. Because at that point, it'll have the Raspberry Pi OS and mainsail already installed. And, Klipper's there. And all you would have to do is then install Kaya if you wanted to add things like Crow's Nest and Klipper Screen. But the base installs there. Whenever I do things that are using Raspberry Pis, I always start off with mainsail. If it's like this one here, which is using a CB1, then I install the minimal CB1 OS install and then install everything else from Kaya. Just make sure as you're going through Kaya, if you're doing it that way, that you tell it one instance when you're installing Klipper and everything else. It's just one instance. But for me on my new builds using Raspberry Pis, it's just easy enough for me to do mainsail OS because I like mainsail. And I'm trying to remember who it was, but I still owe somebody. They wanted me to try installing what was it? RadOS. RadOS? Yeah, I think it's RadOS because that's a Klipper version as well, but it supports more things than just RatRig. Yeah, I'm a mainsail guy. Just because I tried mainsail, and I was like, "Oh, I'm going to try fluid" at one point, and I just never did. Correct. Correct. Yeah, RadOS is a it's Klipper with RatRig theme, but they've got it so it's got pre-configurations for their stuff, and they're starting to add it for other things. But yeah, they both have their pros and cons and some aesthetic issues and stuff. But I've just always done mainsail on mine, and like I said, if you're not doing Klipper Screen and you don't care about Crow's Nest, roll with it. Right? You're Yeah. I tried mainsail, told myself I was going to try fluid, and I just never did. Every single one of my printers is running Klipper and mainsail except for my Prusas. My Prusa Mini and my Prusa Mark IV are running, of course, Marlin because they're running the standard firmware. And the 3 Mark IIIs that are over at Evil Diesel's house are still running mainsail, unless he Klipperized them without my knowledge. But yeah, so I'm proving this printer prints, it works, it's good. And guys and gals, I do have a question for you. So I normally start at 5:30, and I see that my numbers start off pretty slow over that first half hour, then they start climbing up around the 6 o'clock time frame. Would it be better if I start my weekday streams at 6? Is that a better start time for everybody? Hmm. That'll be a question, and we'll chat about it more on Thursday, and I'll probably try and put up a poll on Discord and stuff. Yeah, well, and that's the thing is I know 5:30 works for me because I can get off work, but if I do 6, then on days when I go into work, I don't have to worry about pushing the stream back, and it gives me a little bit more time to get things set up as well, and I don't feel as rushed after work to try and get things set up. Yeah, there you go. Sounds good. So we'll probably do that. We'll because I'm gonna shoot for 6 this Thursday anyhow. Yeah, you're over in Central Standard Time. So yeah, I would try. I think I'll shift it over to 6 p.m. and that'll work a little bit better as far as um, everybody being able to come in and join and see most of the stream. Because I feel like everybody joins in, and I have to rehash the first half hour that we've been working on. Yeah, there you go, Ozzy. So we've got Big Jano up and running, and it's Tuesday, so Thursday is Marble Night. Creatix Brit is up. Oh, DD Builds, the Jane. We got some people doing some Legos, some people doing some other things, people just streaming. Science is up. Does anybody have an option for who you want to raid out to tonight? Yeah. Okay, cool. Timor, thanks a lot for coming in and hanging out with me. Yeah, I know it's for you West Coasters, it's even more of a drag because 5:30 is what 2:30 your time. You guys are definitely still at work, but or work, school, whatever. Um, but yeah, and I do make these VODs available. They don't stay on Twitch too long, but that's why I push it over to YouTube, and everything is current over on YouTube. So tonight's stream I'll try and get on tonight or tomorrow. Hey, Pez is still hanging out there. How's it going, Pez? Yeah, you guys want to go over to Jano? Let's go over to Jano. So I'll go ahead and get that raid initiated. So come on, everybody, join me over to as we raid over to Big Jano and check him out tonight. He does a lot of cool projects and a lot of things with lights. So for various background lightings and things. You got groceries. Oh, well, that's always a good thing to do, Pez. So yeah, please come on with me. Let's raid over to Jano. Folks, thanks for being here with me tonight and hanging out with me. Like I said, troubleshooting these things is always fun. It's always new things, but that's why I do them and stream everything that I'm troubleshooting, because you get to see it real time live, how fun and annoying it can be. So I'm going to try and get a few things reprinted, and I will see you back here on Thursday, and we'll try and go through and retrofit the Savics and do a few other things. Thanks, Bear Grylls. And thank you all for being here. And let's raid out to Jano. Bye now.